Inventory is low. There's not enough houses. You have heard me say this over and over again. But just how many houses do we need until this all starts to turn around? I'm generally a fan of not overcomplicating things, and basically, the housing market comes down to this. Without supply, demand will remain high. Without enough homes for sale, buyers will still be competing with one another. There are varying opinions on how many houses we need to catch up on inventory in the U.S. But here are what some of the industry experts are predicting. An article from Florida Realtors said, the National Low-Income Housing Coalition says the United States has a shortage of 7.3 million units. Realtor.com says it's 6.5 million. Fannie Mae says 4.4 million. John Burns Research and Consulting puts it at just 1.7 million. And Up for Growth, a policy group focused on the housing shortage, says 3.8 million units. Why can't we come up with a consistent number? It's because all of the experts are measuring housing differently. According to the article, Realtor.com's approach to figuring out the number of missing homes is to compare new houses to new households. It puts new household formation since 2012 at 15.6 million. And the number of single-family homes that began construction in that period was 9.03 million, yielding a gap of 6.5 million. However, apartments and condominiums are also an important part of the U.S. housing stock. Fannie Mae takes it from more of an affordability perspective, examining affordable housing for those earning as much as 60% of median income, and workforce housing for those earning 120%. It comes up with 4.4 million too few houses at these price points. Up for Growth estimates the total number of units needed as the total number of households plus the number of households that should have formed but have not because housing wasn't available. They then add 5% to account for normal vacancy rates as housing units turn over. The lowest estimate comes from John Burns Research and Consulting. They looked at demographics and vacancies, noting that housing vacancies were still elevated until the past few years, implying that many places in the U.S. were still overbuilt from the early 2000s housing boom, and as a result, it thinks the shortage is just 1.7 million. It's so easy to get lost in the headlines and all the real estate jargon that gets thrown around. It boils down to this. Many people still have the dream of homeownership. Many people do not want to rent anymore, and many people want to create wealth by owning real estate. So as long as those dreams remain, we will still always need properties to sell. Because new construction was so decimated after the crash of 2008, we still have a lot of ground to make up in new homes being built. When the pandemic happened and building materials became more scarce and it was harder to get people to work, that also contributed to the shortage that we're feeling today. Add to that the fact that current owners are not selling because they love their current interest rate, and it's not hard to see why we currently have more buyers out in the market than we have homes to sell them. At the time of this filming, I checked into our local Alachua County MLS to see how many properties were currently listed for sale. As of today, right now, there were 596 homes available to purchase. Until we hit about 1,000 listings, we are still in a seller's market and we're not hitting an equilibrium in inventory. What is currently super consistent amongst all the experts is that we have a housing shortage. We have more buyers than houses available to buy. How much depends on how you're measuring that data. So which metric do you think is the most accurate? Are you seeing a housing shortage in your area? I would love to know. Many people thought that increasing the interest rates into the 6s or 7s would really curb this inventory issue, and it has to a point. There were times in the past where we only had a matter of days of inventory, and now we've got 2.2 months in our area. However, what we are also seeing is that many buyers have gotten over the sticker shock of a 6 or 7% interest rate. And it begs the question, if buyers are getting back out into the market, is this the new normal? I'm Lindsey Johnson, your resource for all things real estate. See you next time.